Join me right now on Kumite TV is undefeated featherweight prospect Lance Lawrence. What's going on, Lance? Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
You are going to Las Vegas for the Contender series. You're going to get a lot of exposure, fighting on ESPN. A lot of people might not know who you are. You've been on your grind, but they don't know. Who is Lance Lawrence? Where are you from? What is your sporting background? Can you give us a little detail on yourself?
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I was born and raised here. I trained here and fought here my whole career. I still do. I travel, in the tri-state area and train with other talent or bring them in like today. And, I've had my nose to the grindstone working towards this opportunity since I was 16 years old. I started training in a garage with a bunch of amateur MMA fighters every day when I got off the school bus. And, I've just never stopped. So I'm here to be the first UFC fighter from Louisville, Kentucky.
That's incredible, man. When you look at your record, you should be called, your nickname should be called, you should be called the neck snatcher because, you got guillotines and triangles and rear naked chokes all over the place, man. Is it safe to say that you're a submission specialist?
I would like to call myself a submission artist for sure, a submission fighter. I believe I'm a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and at the end of the day, that's what I am. But you could say that I'm that with a knack for choking people out.
Well, that's something incredible that you have, man, and you should take it to the farthest of the farthest you can take it into the UFC and just take people's necks. That's probably lacking, I think, in the UFC right now. Is there's not many guys out there that could just go out there and just get submissions all the time. There's maybe like Ryan Hall, but other than that, I don't really see many guys.
Yeah, outside of Damian Maya, but I would definitely like to be one of the greats like Damian Maya or Kron Gracie, really glorify, the art of jiu-jitsu a little bit more than it is being done right now.
What do you think your style of jiu-jitsu, how is it different from, the other guys already in the UFC?
How's it different? I feel like, there are a lot of jiu-jitsu based fighters in the UFC. I would say that my jiu-jitsu has always involved the punch, and I feel like a lot of guys forget about that the punch is a part of jiu-jitsu. Ground and pound is a part of real jiu-jitsu, and I could say that's different. But I'm not the only guy out there who trains like I train. There's no secret pill or secret moves or anything. I love jiu-jitsu, but I also love Muay Thai, but jiu-jitsu has always been my base, that I can always fall back on if I need to. It's saved my life quite a few times, especially in the fight world. So, yeah.
You grew up through the ranks, the amateur ranks with Hardrock MMA, and you continued as a pro there. How much has that promotion, helped you develop into the fighter you are today?
Hardrock MMA, yeah, they've definitely been a huge part of my career, man. Especially as I got into the pro leagues, they're the only people who could really find me fights locally. They're the only people who really try because, I've got a pretty decent following here, so that they definitely put in effort. And as an amateur, they were really good on, they didn't just give me scrubs. They gave me hard fights, and they gave me fights that they thought were good tests for me and good fights for me to win. They didn't just hand me gimmick fights, but they also weren't just feeding me to the wolves. They wanted to see my success, and I believe they've always, wanted what's best for me. I definitely, I'm thankful to them.
Well, your last fight with them was a couple months back in February, I believe. You got a second round triangle choke, of course. It was the longest fight of your pro career. Did you learn anything from there that you could kind of take into the Contender series?
I learned that the longer the fight goes, the better I get and the better my chances are, actually. So And then that's what I always believed. And going into that second round, I was in the corner thinking, all right, we're gonna find out. You know what Lance Lawrence can do in the second round. And I was much more happy with my performance in the second round than I was with my first round performance. So yeah, that's definitely a good mental edge to have, to know that you know you're gonna be even better the next round.
Did you know that if you won that fight, that you would be going to the Contender Series in the summer, or was it something that happened afterwards?
I knew it was a step closer to the Contender Series. My manager, Jason House, has been pushing to get me on Contender Series. You know, since last season, you know, his only thing was I needed more fights, and that wasn't on him. You know, that's not something he's at that level where he can just find a smaller guy like me fights. So I had to build my record up, and you know, so I just took whatever fight I could, and Chris Dunn was, you know, the man who said yes. You know, and that was I knew that was going to be a great win for me. And I think 2 or 3 of his losses had been from UFC or Bellator fighters, and they were hard-earned losses. So I knew that, you know, that was going to be big for the big wigs watching my fights to see how I can perform against the seasoned veterans. I knew it was going to be a huge part of my career. I didn't know it was going to get me to the Contender Series, but I did know that this season my manager was doing everything he can to get me on there, and I had a good feeling it was going to happen. So we were kind of waiting and preparing for it.
Well, it's happening July 16th. You're going to fly to Vegas. You're facing Kevin Syler. What are your thoughts on him and how he stacks up against you?
I mean, Kevin Syler, he's 15-0, amateur and pro, all added up. If you look at the stats, I'm 13-0. If you look at the stats, this is 2 undefeated fighters going at it in front of Dana White. For a UFC contract, it doesn't get more high stakes than that. Everything's on the line. We both worked our whole life for this. As far as he's got a few more fights than me. I've got a few more finishes than him. He's a world-class fighter. He, one of the best fighters in Bolivia, they say. He trains at American Top Team, Coconut Creek. World champions there every day. So he knows. He's been in the fire. This is going to be a great victory for me. I go out there, I finish this guy. How can you not give me my contract? I'm ready for the UFC, and that's what I'm going out there to prove. I'm finish this guy. And, it doesn't matter how good he is or what he is, man. That night I'm going to be the better fighter. I have to be.
Have you been watching the first couple of weeks of the Contender Series?
Yes, I've watched the past 2 weeks. I watched last night. No finishes last night, but 2 contracts. Crazy fights last night.
Yeah, it is, man. It is a crazy how they select the guys that they want to sign. So it is a big gamble, and you are taking a big gamble against a guy that is undefeated. You're undefeated. Do you kind of get a more motivation facing a guy like him and kind of having these high stakes on the line at this point in your career?
I do, because fight camps are grueling. They test you mentally, physically, and spiritually. But I have a worthy opponent. He's worth every drop of sweat and blood I'm putting in the gym right now. He's world class. I'm not wasting any of my energy or effort. It's all going to come. I'm going to need it all. I'm ready for 3 rounds. Of a war.
You go there, you get business done, you get the contract. You join the featherweight division, which is stacked. What separates you from everybody else? Other than the ground game.
Everybody's different, man. Everybody's different. Everybody's their own fighter. I just embrace, me, and just be myself, man. I'm Lance the Tornado Lawrence. That's what makes me different, man. I'm me. There's no one else out there like me. One day I'm gonna be out there fighting Max Holloway.
All right, man. July 16th, Dana White's Contender Series, Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you, Lance, for your time, and hopefully we'll be doing many of these when you get your contract in the UFC.
Awesome. I'm sure we will, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Murphy and Associates Law Firm and Alpha Alpha Apparel, Kentucky. Oxybaric Oxygen Chamber. The Cryo Club Cryogenics Chamber. Meal Preps 502. 24/7 Motors Company. Man, I know there's a few more, but we'll just go on and leave it at that right now.